Okay, so the demo for Microprose's new game, Task Force Admiral, has just dropped today. So I quickly downloaded it from Steam, and let's check it out. Well, let's just pop right into single scenario and see what we can do. Okay, so it looks like there is one available mission of Cranes and Patriots. Okay, looks like maybe we can select other battles. Okay, looks like a lot of these are going to be available, but they're all grayed out at this point. So we have the Coral Sea, Fortress Midway, Operation Watchtower, which is the invasion of Guadalcanal, and so on. But so far, it looks like all we can do is select one of the battles of Coral Sea, which is a historical mission. So this is a length of 2 days. Yorktown and Lexington recover from a day of hectic action. Intel shows that signs of the enemy carrier force is drawing near for a final showdown in the last chapter of what will be known in history as the Battle of the Coral Sea. Giants are going to face off for the first time ever. In this game of chicken, assume command as Rear Admiral Fletcher as Task Force 17 is about to make history and give its best to halt the southward ambitions of the Japanese combined fleet.
It's early morning on May 8th, 1942. You're retired to the south at the end of your operation. Good luck.
Okay, that was a pretty thorough briefing, or intro, a lot longer than I was expecting. Okay, so let's just jump right into the mission. I'm going into this completely blind without any idea of how controls work, so we're going to see how this works out. See if I just just end up being totally clueless and unable to do anything, or if I can hit the ground running. Okay, so I have a first-person view here, and okay, there's the mouse pointer. This mouse pointer is really small, so it's hard to see. So, all right, let's look at the strategic map. All right, so here's where our forces are. You can probably zoom in as you'd expect with the mouse scroll button. Okay, here's our carrier task force, and we can split up into individual ships. If I zoom in far enough, will it split it up into individual ships? No, but you can actually see the ships move on the map itself. So we are definitely moving south. And let's see, going to a 3D map. Okay, looks like we must be viewing from overhead. And trying to use standard controls. Okay, so it's definitely nighttime. Looking down at the ocean, so there's not really much to see at this point. And as the time is midnight, you would expect it to be rather dark. But let me see if I can focus on a ship. Okay, here we go. Here's the USS Yorktown. Pretty looking ship even in the dark. We can actually see clouds, which is good because that's kind of cool. Obscuring the stars. And let's see, we go to Lexington now. Yep. Okay, looks like going back to Yorktown, both carriers are more in a configuration for landing aircraft, as all of its current aircraft on deck are parked forward. And we can look for our destroyers. Sorry about the darkness here, but I mean, it is nighttime and there's not much I can do about that yet. Okay, we can go to the Minneapolis here. USS Astoria. They probably look better in the daytime, but we'll get there eventually. USS Portland and so on. Okay. So now we can manage our task force here. Okay, so here we have the Yorktown, Lexington. We can edit our formation and do all sorts of things here. Fleet defense, this is how we manage our defenses. Okay, so I'm guessing we can deploy. Okay, so we can create patrol zones and so on. And here's our flight deck. Okay, so this is definitely where we would move our aircraft around. So that looks pretty cool. And this shows what we have in our hangar currently. Play deck timeline to show how long it's going to take to do everything we want to do. currently have 20 aircraft parked on deck. Here, I'm going to increase the time scale so that the time is increasing rapidly. Okay, I'm not sure what this little ticker at the bottom of the screen is doing. Maybe that's what time it is at the far left of the screen. So this one might be 100 hours, which does seem to match. And here's 200. Okay, so this is kind of a ticker of how fast time is passing by. I go back to the 3D view. Yeah, you can see our ships are moving a heck of a lot faster now. It's still dark though, and it's going to be dark for several hours. So this shows, no, it's still Yorktown at the center of the formation. And going to the flight deck, it's still showing the Yorktown. So for some reason, I can't switch to Lexington at this point. It's now 3 in the morning. Okay, formation editor. Can we just move some ships around? Looks like if I just select or hover over one of these, it shows like this is our destroyer squadron. So it looks like we have 2 different destroyer squadrons here, which kind of makes sense. And then these must be our 3 cruisers, and then the 2 flagships, or 2 aircraft carriers in the center. Okay, fighter direction. So this definitely does look like a Task Fleet Admiral type thing. You are at a command level issuing orders to various things, and I'm assuming there's not going to be a lot of like single ship control and stuff, although they may allow you to do that occasionally. The main thing is you're going to be looking at the big picture as far as the battle goes. Okay, so it's about 5 a.m. Let's go back to the what it looks like outside. It's starting to get light out. There's the full moon, which is starting to descend. So now we can actually look at our ships. So let's go back to the Yorktown. Here we go. Everything's still the same. I hear music, but I don't hear a lot of like, say water sound effects or engine noise or anything like that. That's a nice pretty picture right there. I only have 1 task force, so I can't switch between them apparently. But let's switch to the other, the Lexington. It's still not let me select it via the drop down, but I will click it up here. Okay, that takes us to Lexington. And we can see that's one of our cruisers there. Like that could be the Portland, maybe. You can see some pretty cool shadows of the ships, which is nice. You can also see what looks like shadows of the clouds on the ocean, which is a nice effect. It might be a tactical thing you can use during the game, where there might be rain squalls and stuff in which ships and planes can hide as the battles take place, which would be pretty cool, because that was definitely used historically. All right, so let's see if I can just start messing around with things. So let's manage our task force. So defensive air ops. Let's create a patrol zone. Okay, so I have a box here that I can maneuver around. And since we expect the enemy to be attacking, if they do, from the northeast, we'll just put a box up there. Can I move this window? Okay, I can minimize it a little bit, so that helps. Okay, this must be a message or event log. And okay, so I can definitely zoom out and make our defensive patrol box in a different area. Let's see. So we're going to send some F4F Wildcats, a patrol strength of 3, and we'll just accept it and see what happens. So now if we go to the Yorktown, let's look at the 3D map and see if there's anything happening on deck. Looks like it is. Looks like we have some of our planes being moved. I'm guessing, oh, that's cool. If you actually zoom in, you can see the numbers on each plane, like Tier 6, Tier 5, Tier 4. Okay, we have this little flashing icon for like radio. Maybe if I click that, maybe that means an event. Okay, so Task Force 17 is heading into the wind to commence air operations, which is pretty cool. And see that the ship is turning to starboard. Oh, okay, and at the bottom at our timeline here, we do have an indication of what's actually happening. So we have a mission spots for our cap is going to be spotted for takeoff at 0617, or at least that's when it was started, and a plan for takeoff at 622, so in 3 more minutes. So going back here, yep, you can see the entire formation, which was heading at a course of about 180, is now heading towards the west. Looks like things are getting a bit congested on the deck here. This Wildcat isn't exactly sure where to go. That's okay. Okay, now we go back to the air plot. We actually can see our aircraft being moved around, which is good. So we could just kind of sit here like we're the Admiral, inside the ship, not even looking out the window, and we can see what's going on based on the Ouija board here. Okay, so we're spotting and preparing our caps. I can already tell, since this is definitely like a long-term game in terms of planning your strikes and planning your scouting missions and so on. You're not just going to start a mission and just hop right into the action within seconds, which makes sense because this is an Admiral's game. Okay, so now I'm getting some sound effects. Looks like some aircraft are getting ready to take off. And here goes the third aircraft. See if I can click on them individually. Yes, I can. Okay, here we go. If I double click on him, I can start tracking him as he leaves the formation. And he is now maneuvering to link up with the other aircraft. Let's see if we can set up some kind of search pattern. We can click on search and create a new air search. Okay, so this is a sector of the map. Looks like I can change that pattern or change the direction of the sector. Again, the mouse is really small. I don't know if you can see that, but it changes to a different icon, allowing us to alter the sector. We will send... let's split it into 4 search zones for our Dauntlesses. And patrol altitude 13,000 feet, start angle 1 degrees, step every 45. And we'll just accept it. We're not going to mess anything or change anything too radical right now. We're just kind of experimenting. And let's see. Okay, so we already see some of our planes moving, probably to clear space for the SBDs to take off. Now, I'm guessing right away that because of the way the aircraft are set up on deck, this is going to require some thoughtful planning to make the best efficiency of your aircraft being on deck and to minimize, moving planes all over the place to get out of the way of others in order to have your planes take off without being a big traffic jam and causing all sorts of problems. Of course, I'm sure that the AI is wasting no time at all in doing stuff, and that the Japanese have all their ducks in a row and they're launching their aircraft and they're coming right at me and I'm going to get destroyed eventually. But we'll have to see. But now I could probably go to the strategic map and see my scout planes taking off and heading. That's interesting. We have 2+ aircraft detected by the USS Aylwin and another one from the USS Aylwin. Visual at 7 nautical miles. Now, that's got to be our own planes. We do have our combat air patrol, and we do now have our scouts up. And they are marked blue, which makes me think that they have to be friendlies. And it looks like I can't move this clock, and I can't really pan around the table here either. So if you have the event log, you're going to be blocking off the upper right-hand side of your plot. And it currently does show where my cap aircraft will be patrolling. All right, so clearly I'm not preparing for a real attack or combat here. I'm just kind of messing around with all the controls, see what I can do. And okay, so I already looked at the search. Yep, ingressing on the search. So I would expect to see these aircraft split up into groups, each one following one of these vectors out, because the normal search pattern would be for each one of the SBDs to take off from its launch point at the carriers, follow a course bearing all the way out to their search pattern, take a turn, go halfway, and then come back, while the other aircraft do the same thing on their own search vectors. And therefore, each sector will be fully covered. And depending on how many aircraft you use and how large the sector is, will determine how tight your grouping of aircraft will be, and therefore how likely it is you are to spot enemy ships in those areas. So presumably, if my aircraft spot anything, I will get a radio report from them and tell me what I've seen or what they have seen. So it looks like I can't just say, go to one of those aircraft and say, hey, I want to follow you indefinitely and, just kind of spy on what that aircraft is seeing. I have to stay with my fleet and just direct the attacks from a distance. I mean, an admiral did not have the opportunity to, go with his aircraft, obviously, and do an attack. He just had to, sit back and wring his hands on the aircraft carrier and wait to see what happens. All right. So I'm going to speed up the time scale a bit and see if we notice anything.
Romeo, Red Leader, Bogey, Vector 040, 20 miles.
Whoa.
10 plus.
All right. So slowing things down, looks like we have detected some bad guys. Maybe a scout aircraft. So, okay. So it looks like there's a bogey detected by my aircraft. It's an enemy flying boat, so it's definitely a scout. And the cap is going to engage. So, excellent. You're doing what you're supposed to do. So let's kind of go to the 3D view, which I just see a lot of empty ocean. All right, let's go back to the map, see if I can select one of my own aircraft. Unless maybe if I centered it right on the screen and then go to 3D view. Okay, there's an aircraft. Maybe if I clicked on you frantically. It's easy to lose you. This guy's really small. And I've already lost him. He's in there somewhere. Okay, according to a message we intercepted, the task force has been detected by an enemy air search asset. Which makes sense. Now, if I zoom out further, I do not see my scout planes at all. Now, that could be because I don't have any visual contact or radar contact on them from my fleet. So if my supposition is correct, that's actually very realistic. You launch out your scouts and you wait to hear from radio reports, which can be hours later. So the fog of war appears to be in force here, which is kind of cool, honestly. I mean, it would be nice if there was like a toggle if you kind of, just wanted to simulate stuff or whatnot. But I mean, I do like the idea of not being able to see them until they actually discover something, because that definitely, it enforces you to, oh, here we go. So we have detected, this is exactly what I thought might be happening. Okay, I'm going to pause it for a sec or slow time down. Scouts reported an unidentified surface force bearing 184. Bearing 184, range 138 miles. That's a strange bearing from this direction. I'm not sure what they're talking about with that bearing. Okay, so the contact is at this location. Range is 186. Bearing 137 degrees. Oh, this is interesting. On the contact position here, it says that the range is 185 nautical miles and its bearing is 137 degrees. But on our event log, the bearing is 184 and the range is 138 miles. So something is clearly backwards here. I think that might be a little bit of a bug. Okay, so we do have a good report. So now would be the time, for example, for me to launch a strike or plan a strike. So I'm just going to try that, see what happens. Okay, so let's just send a bunch of SBD dive bombers from each squadron, and we'll send some torpedoes, and we'll send an escort of 6 fighters. You know, I'm just picking random numbers here. I'm not thinking about this too carefully. I just kind of want to see what happens. Departure mode. Okay, deferred departure, which I believe would mean that they would all wait until everybody is ready. And normal departure would be they just take off and head directly towards the enemy. Okay, so assuming I'm just setting 8, 8, and 8, you know, who knows. And this is the time being set. Loadouts, composition. All right, let's just... Can I just say, go for it? I'm looking for like a thing that mission will be launched as currently planned. Okay, well, good. All right, here's a countdown until everything takes off. So it looks like they're already planning. It looks like as soon as I started planning, there was nothing to really select to tell them, okay, like execute. They just start going at it right away. So let's see if I can spot the deck and see what's going on. Okay, we're in recovery mode. We might be recovering our cap. Scouts reported enemy carrier force bearing 186, bearing 137 miles. That's good news if I can actually strike them. So here's our current contact. They believe they have detected one carrier, 1 heavy cruiser, 2 destroyers. Oh, now the numbers are increasing as the contact report is updating. Yeah. It's, again, the range is 186 nautical miles, whereas over here in the event log here, the bearing is 186. So clearly that's switched and should be fixed. Okay, so target is not selected. So that means I screwed up somehow with my mission. So if I select this mission, edit mission, aha, target ID, pick target. That's a good idea. I will pick a target, maybe. There we go. Okay, we are going to pick a target here. Okay, so spotting mode, offensive, blah, blah, blah. Reading all this stuff. I'm not being too careful at reading it. Let's just green light it. Okay, so now our naval strike is preparing with 30 aircraft. It's going to launch at 8:13, time on target of 9:25. So in the meantime, I am certain that the Japanese are launching aircraft in my direction. So I got to get this strike off, and then probably would be a good idea to send up another combat air patrol.
Romeo, Blue Leader, Mini Buggy, Vector 050, 18 miles, Angels High.
Okay, so let's examine that. We have Romeo. I have no idea who Romeo is. Maybe that's our cap. Anyway, many bogeys, Vector 050, 80 miles, Angels High. So let's go to our overhead map. Okay, here they are. It's okay. Definitely looks like our cap is heading towards them. Here they go. They are showing up on the map now. Looks like we are actually launching our strike, which is good to see. Get these planes off the deck so I can get some more. So one, they don't get destroyed on the deck, and two, so they can. I can get some fighter aircraft up to defend us. From the air signals an enemy raid en route to our position, bearing 60, range 120 miles. Here, so all I did was click scramble, and I'm hoping that means they're going to bring just more aircraft up and have them take off. So this is proving really interesting. It's like I know a raid is inbound, but I have no like God's eye view. Well, I mean, I do have like a map so I can look down from above, but I mean a God's eye view in that I can see the raid in its full strength and so on coming down to attack. At least not yet. Let's see if I can zoom in and if this will actually. Yep, I can view them this way, and that is a large raid. And my cap of 3 aircraft. I don't think that's gonna do all that much against these guys. So far, looks like the fog of war really is in effect here, because there's a lot that's happening that I can't see, which is both, well, I want to say it's cool, it's frustrating, and frankly terrifying. But that's what it was really like for the Admirals. They had to launch their strikes and kind of hope for the best and wait for hours later that they would hear good news. Okay, so it looks like my squadron is going to engage. Let's see if I can actually zoom in on this and witness the combat in action. Again, I hear noise, but I don't see anything. Okay, this is interesting. So the contacts are kind of going all over the place, which looks like, oh, okay. So this must be like the Zeros escorts engaging our fighters. And I don't hear anything from our fire, so who knows what happens. Okay. I count 10 minutes more, getting for a firing pass. So they must have engaged. And here is the attack force continuing to fly. And looks like they might actually be returning now without having detected my my task force. Which is okay. That's perfectly acceptable to me. This looks like it might be another raid. This is also good. You don't necessarily know who's good or bad, because unless you have, like, you know, a visual or radio contact with a contact, then you don't know if they're friendly or not. So the fact that I keep turning around left and right all over the place to launch aircraft might actually be a good thing. Scouts report new unidentified surface force bearing 206, range 138 miles. Again, that's got to be like totally wrong. It's got to be bearing 138, range 207 miles. Let's look at our strategic map. Okay, yeah, there's the other fleet. Maybe that's the same new unidentified surface force. It could be the same force that's just moved. Okay, green leader, tally ho. I mean, who the hell knows what's actually happening up there? So far, it looks like they didn't find us. And I currently attribute that to my task force kind of doing this crazy zigzag as it constantly is beginning and ending operations. Right now is about when the attack should be starting at 9:43. So in theory, we could be hearing a report about how the attack went, or if they discovered anything, or we should be hearing about it soon. In the meantime, it's like bearing 205. That's just not right. That should be, I mean, we're almost on a reciprocal bearing from bearing 205. And range 138 miles. I mean, if that's actually the bearing. Okay, and this is also frustrating. I'll just say the range here is 138 miles, and down here, the scale on the map is in kilometers. So it should all be in nautical miles, frankly. The search that we sent out should have been back already, and I don't think we've found anybody. I'm wondering if it's at least partially because they don't know where the fleet is. I zoom out a bit. They're probably all coming back to this location. So can I send the fleet to go there? Okay. Here we go. Measure distance. Oh, this is useful. Okay, so if you just right click on the map somewhere, that's helpful. Can I get rid of the measurement if I don't want it anymore? Okay. Yes. Okay, so now I can show contacts history. Okay. Okay, if this fleet was still here, we probably would have run into it. All right, so show the wind. Okay, the wind is all in this direction. That's useful information. Showing the weather. Partly cloudy. It seems to be more clear over them than it was over us. Showing the radar range, AAA range, and battery range. Oh, this is all pretty cool stuff. I'm sure I'm going to get a report saying that every single plane I launched has run out of fuel and has crashed. That would, oh, Yikes. Total aircraft lost, 3. Total crew lost, 3. Why am I not surprised? So we have more aircraft returning. 2+ aircraft. I'm trying not to panic here. Kind of hoping that if there's enough aircraft that will return, they will come in little dribs and drabs. I mean, that happens. They don't, all fly in a perfect formation to a strike and then come back in a perfect formation either. They will tend to do their attacks and then, make it home as best they can. So we have more aircraft landing. Okay, so as these planes land, in theory, we should be getting reports on how they think they did in terms of combat. Yikes. Okay, so here it says we have lost 21 aircraft. Like we have another contact coming our way. And let's see, I'm just going to scramble some aircraft. And looks like we just have one fighter. We
Romeo,
have
many bogies. Vector 060, 20 miles.
Yep.
Angels high.
There's a lot of them. Okay, 10+ aircraft. And it's not turning to face us yet. And looks like we engaged. Okay, according to a message we intercepted, we've been detected by an enemy search asset, and our aircraft is landing. But again, this strike group did not find us, apparently. This music, I have to say, sounds suspiciously like Duel of the Fates. All right, so they have flown past us. Let's see if I see how far away they are now. So, no, I don't want to do a new air search. I want to measure distance. So from us to them, about 50 nautical miles. And no news from any of our scouts yet. I'm not even sure if I should probably check to see when the scouts are supposed to be on target. Yeah, so debriefing from this guy, 32 aircraft lost with 32 crew. Yikes. Yeah, all my guys are getting slaughtered, but since I don't know what I'm doing, that's kind of what I expected. Okay, so here, Search 9 is going to come back in about an hour. Time on target 15:26, and I have had no reports. And now I don't even see where the enemy fleet is. So this might actually turn into something interesting now. So let's slow down the speed and see what actually happens here until I figure out what's going on here. Oh, stuff is happening. I hear booms. Okay, we're firing our 5-inch guns. Which means if I go to the Astoria here, it should be definitely doing some stuff. Yep, they are firing the anti-air guns. Cripes, I can't see anything. And if they're not firing their guns anymore, where are they? Can we zoom in on them? There they are. Okay, lots of flak. That's what I like to see. And the thing is, I can't select any of the enemy fighters as far as I can see. Oh, here we go. This is more of a tactical map. That's interesting. I just hit the space bar and this popped up. Okay, that's interesting. They just flew right over the Yorktown. And it doesn't even look like they're trying to attack. I mean, there's a ton of flak. Okay, hitting the tab key removes the UI. That's good to know. So they're being shot at, but there does not appear to be, like, stuff happening.
Enemy bomber shot down.
Hey, we shot down somebody. That's good news. I mean, we're shooting at them as they're... Okay, that's something. Okay, we got a notification that the enemy air attack is over. Okay, as I wait for the night to pass, I've been messing around with this a little bit, and I have discovered that if I go to my air plot and I select my squadrons, I do not have any information on sorties, combat claims, and so on. But if I actually click on the squadrons individually up here, then the information shows up. So we had 16 sorties from VB5. Several of them were scouts. We've lost 8 aircraft, 7 crew, but they claim 8 bomb hits, which isn't bad. So let's go to our fighters. 26 sorties. They claimed 14 aircraft shot down. I don't know if this is actually going to be, really aircraft shot down, or if it means, the standard accepted reality that air combat claims tended to be much higher than they actually were. So this could really mean that we shot down 3 enemy aircraft instead of 14. But that'll be something to find out once you play the game some more. Okay, so we have, looks like we have 3 killed and 10 missing, which is kind of scary. Actually, going back to VP5, yeah, 7 missing. Yikes. All right, going up to dive bombers. Here we have 6 bomb hit claims, which is awesome. Hopefully on their good ships, and 2 air combat claims, and 5 aircraft lost and total crew lost of 5, which doesn't seem to jive because each Dauntless should have 2 crew, and each of our torpedo planes should have 3. But looking at them, they have 0 bomb hit claims, which I would have expected. They should be having torpedoes anyway, but I don't see a place where I could show that. But we have 7 aircraft lost, total crew lost of 7. Okay, so much later, I have sent out, just some scouts to look for enemy aircraft, but basically nothing has happened. They didn't find me, I didn't find them. So we're going to see what happens when the mission time runs out. It's 23:57 on the second day. So when this flips over to 0-100 hours, then the mission theoretically should end. So I'm going to speed up time a little bit, and we'll see if the mission ends on its own. Yep, it does. Okay. So SyncPack has directed us to fully disengage and relocate. Pending further instructions, we have compiled the report detailing our combat performance for submission. Please accompany us to the intelligence shack. Okay. So let's see what the debriefing is. Although it did not come without losses, no one can truly claim victory based on the body count alone. Still, your rather conservative tactics have allowed us to maintain the strategic initiative, etc., etc. So, it was a strategic defeat, which I expected a tactical victory, which I'm surprised at considering how many planes I lost. Let's see what the full report says. So, we damaged the Shokaku, although I didn't know that. We took out 19 Zeros, 2 B5N1s. Those are Kates, I think. And we took out a flying boat. I'm guessing that's what that is. And for us, they didn't lose any ships at all. All we did was damage the Shokaku. Okay, friendly aircraft losses. Yeah, we lost 13 Wildcats, 12 Dauntlesses, and 7 Devastators. So we have a final tactical score. Interesting, I don't have any more details than that. The lack of information would actually be kind of cool for a campaign because, if you've damaged an enemy ship, you don't know how much. Is it going to come back soon, or is it going to be out of action for months or a year or what? Who knows? So let's see what else. Okay, watching the replay does not look like it's implemented yet. So I'll go back to the main menu here. And what I'll say so far is it's definitely interesting. There appear to be some bugs still in the system, as in the bearing and range appear to be screwed up on the Event log. It looks like that the range and bearing seem to be switched, and the bearing seems to be the reciprocal bearing. So when it says something is at a range of 150 miles, what it really means is that's the bearing, and it's also the reciprocal bearing to the target. And when it says that, say, the bearing of something is, I don't know, 100, then what it really means is that that's the range of 100 miles. Now, it does actually, when you click on the contact, it'll show you a different range and bearing, and that seems to be more accurate. But as it is, it seems like there is definitely a issue there. So I'm just going to check out some of the other things. So there's a battle generator here. So apparently I can make a quick battle here, which I'll have to try out later. And going to fleet defense. What does that do? Okay, so this looks like it could be just a test type mission. Oh, okay. So it's a dogfight module. So it serves as an experiment for future enhancements. So, okay, we get to see some additional stuff. So you have 10 minutes in order to shoot down stuff. So that seems like it's worth another video that I'll follow later. But for now, and we'll go back to the menu. In the meantime, you can check out this game on Steam, and I assume it's on the Microprose website as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.